So you're watching this because you're trying to figure out what do I need to say so that my customers convert consistently. Like you're making content or you're thinking about making content, but you're not quite sure what to say yet. This workbook is going to, like it says from the very first page, it's going to form the foundation of what your business will grow from. What do I mean when I say it's going to be what your business grows from? When you look on this section on the second page, we have level one, we have level two, we have level three, and level four. Level one is just figuring out what is it that I need to say so that my customer knows that I am the kind of person who delivers a product or service that they need at that point in time. And then level two is going to be building a funnel. A funnel is basically the customer journey that you take your ideal customer through until they get to a point where they buy from you. So that could look like they see your post and then you take them to a WhatsApp chat. It could be they see your post and then you take them to a landing page where they read more about the value you offer them, and then now they go to a checkout page. Or that could be they see your post and then they reach out to you and your salesperson follows up with that particular lead. That is a funnel. There are variations of those funnels. And then page traffic. Now, once you have a funnel and you're consistently converting people on the funnel, that means you're consistently having people seeing your post and then they go all the way to the point of buying from you. Then you go, and when you're ready to and you have the budget for it, I recommend 5,000 to 10,000 shillings per day. That's the ideal when you want to test for ads. You can start lower, but my recommendation is always 5,000 to 10,000 shillings. And so that is paid traffic. So within level three, you're trying to find out, when I pay for traffic, what is the message that will consistently earn me more than I spend on ads. Then once you have that message, now you scale. You put in a lot more money into ads, or you can still maintain the same 5,000 to 10,000 shillings per day budget, but then you're narrowing down to a specific section of your customers who, when you put in money into ads, they earn you a lot more than another segment of your customers. So that's basically the goal of this particular document. You're going to be working through it, like it says, each section in the order that it comes. Don't try and skip through any section. Don't worry if there's something that you feel you might get stuck on. I'm going to share this particular document with a prompt and will allow you to troubleshoot. Troubleshoot is basically like ask, I've gotten to this question, this is my response to this question. How do I navigate beyond that, or does this response suffice? In addition, that will be in addition to the examples that are already attached, highlighted throughout the document. So anyway, let me get to the first section. You are going to be addressing who you help and why it matters. So, like it says here, the positioning is a one sentence that tells a stranger under 5 seconds whether you are the right person for them or not. And everything else, and then everything else that you build from that is what you're going to be sharing with in your messaging. So there are going to be several questions here. The first one is, think about the first three paying clients. For each one, write a sentence what they were dealing with when they first came to you. So your product or service solves a particular problem for your customer. So it's basically talking about what was that problem before they came to you. And then once you have the response to those questions, you will look at the answers and identify what is the common thing, what is the pattern that is recurring for those three people. Then now you move on to the next one, where you think about the result, the client who got the most from working with you, what specifically changed for them. So yes, you have your product that is offering value to a range of people, but from the three people that will have you have asked you to look into, there's what is one of them who will have gained the most value from them. Maybe your product or service helps them gain more money. Then, like, there's one person who will have made the most money as a result of your product or service. What that is the kind of person you would address here, or you'd focus on, and just write down what is a specific thing that changed from them. So as you can see, the guidelines throughout the document, you don't even actually need a prompt, but in the event you do, that prompt will kind of help you figure out how to respond to the question. The prompt will be attached at the end, alongside the document. Then the next section is, what have your clients tried before coming to work with you? What do you think, and why do you think it did not work? So you're probably unique for a particular reason. You probably identified a gap in your market and you're like, I have to address this gap. And this is ideally what your response to why do you think it did not work could be, or whatever it is that they share with you that they tried before that didn't work. It could actually be a new gap you can explore. And if it's something that is, again, a pattern that each of the three of them are responding to, then that's something you should consider in your positioning statement. So once you have that information, you will write a mechanism using the structure that is highlighted here. We say most people who feel stuck, for example, is an example where most people who feel stuck in a career try to solve it by looking for a new job or waiting for clarity to arrive on its own. Neither works because the problem is not the job, it's the absence of the decision framework they trust. What I do is I help clients build a framework in 6 sessions so that when the decision moment comes, they already know their answer. So that's an example of a mechanism. It sounds a bit technical, but I hope you get the picture. As time goes by, you'll understand how do I put it, to humanize it a bit more. Something I forgot to note at the beginning of the video is, once you're filling this form or this workbook, don't worry about being perfect. Just try and put out as like the crap. If you think whatever you think is going to be crappy, write that down, like type it into the document. Also, don't worry, the document that you'll be filling out will be a Word document. If it looks different from this, it's just going to be the same thing, so don't really worry about that. So remember, as crappy as you need it to be, because as time goes by, the more interactions you have with your customers, the more whatever content you'll create as a result of this particular document. You'll interact with people, they'll give you feedback, you'll come back here and revise that document, and you'll keep improving. So that's why I say this is going to be the foundation of everything that you build up on, so that by the time you get into ads, you have tested and fine-tuned, and now you have something that is really aligned with the kind of customer you're dealing with. So anyway, now after that, you create a position statement, which is, I help dash who are dealing with dash to dash by um, dash. So I think it will be derived from the mechanism here, where I help clients build a framework in 6 questions, so that even when the decision making time comes, they already know their answer. So when you read it out aloud, so that the person knows by listening to it, like you're the kind of person who solves their challenge. You'll go through this checklist to see if does this name a specific person, not anyone who needs help or professionals. Does it name a specific outcome, not more confidence or more clarity? Does it include something about how it activates it, achieve how someone can achieve it? Your mechanism, not just not just someone in your category. And then does a cold stranger understand it without you having to explain further? If this particular statement meets these 4 criteria, we move on to the next thing. So documenting proof. Proof is not what you say. Proof is what you say yourself. It's not what you say yourself. It's what your client says about what you say. And this that you can use everywhere. So these are the kind of questions. In this particular section, you're going to be sharing the questions with your clients and asking them to respond. I think there's even a message you can send with the questions so that you don't feel like, okay, am I going to be disturbing the clients? Of course, some clients will share with you, some other clients won't share with you. That's okay. If you can get two, well and good. If you can get three, even better, because the goal here is to identify patterns. So you will send these three questions to your two to three best clients. And like I said, you actually get the messaging. You can tell them, I'm updating how I'm describing my work and I want to use your words rather than mine. These are three quick questions of what you're dealing with the first time you came to me. What is different and how you describe what I do to someone. So those are basically the questions that they'd answer. And then from that, it will be your proof. So again, at the end of all this, you should have a written testimonial, you should have a screenshot of like a positive response. You should have a completed case study, which is the situation, what happened, and then the result, and then a video or voice note from the client describing the result, if possible, because not all clients are going to share that with you. And then a specific number, how many clients, the time frame, or a measurable outcome that you can point to. Then you write your best proof in one sentence, and this becomes the proof line that you have on your landing page. But when someone gets onto your landing page, they see, if someone is a reflection of the best client, they'd see themselves onto the first one of the first statements that are on your landing page, and that is why this is important. If you will not have a landing page, you can still have this as a core component throughout your messaging. Um, the next section we're going to get into is the content North Star. So, the one rule of the content that converts is a cold stranger opens a post, they do not know you, they are not looking for you, and they will scroll past you. So, you have one job, you have to make them feel one specific consequence of the problem you solve. Not your method, not your credentials, not your story, at least not yet. You just show them the consequence, something that they felt this week. When they feel it, they will stop scrolling, they will read, they'll click, the page closes them, your post just had to stop them. So you copy your mechanism from chapter one and paste it here so that every post you write should connect back to that particular mechanism, whether directly or indirectly. So tensions are better than topics. Tensions are things that they feel. So imagine reading the same post 4 weeks in a row. Same observation, different words. You stop reading by week three. That is what happens when a business owner writes about a topic list. They have one topic, their niche, and then they circle it until the audience goes quiet. You don't want that. The audience is not one person in one mood. They circle through four recurring states. The four reasons someone eventually reaches out to you. And this week, one of your followers is frustrated and that nothing is changing despite the effort. Then the next month, they are ashamed that they went quiet for 6 weeks and do not know how to start again. So the idea is to be able to meet people, the same person at the various emotional stages of um, what your product or service offers. So hence the fourth section. So this is an example. Visible but not chosen, knows what to do but can't do it, tried everything but nothing works, they're still stuck, waiting to be ready. So with the first tension, visible but not chosen, they're putting themselves out there, posting, showing up, being seen by but the audience is watching without buying. The content exists, the conversion path does not. So they have a bunch of content, but like if someone sees the content, nobody knows how to make the next move. So unless they're incredibly like they really want what the person is offering, then we have to initiate the DM, then make a comment and Hopefully, the business responds to the comments and follows up on that particular lead. The next tension is someone who they have the information, so the one who knows what to do, what can do it. That's information, but they have read the books, done the courses, had the advice. The gap is not knowledge; it's more of execution. So something is stopping them. That information alone will not. That information alone will not fix it. And then the third tension is they've tried everything and nothing has like remained consistent. So they've attempted to change before, multiple times, it worked briefly or not at all. They're not lazy, they just tried everything over. They're tired of starting over. Your mechanism is the reason this time it is different. So the idea is you are speaking to someone who's exhausted. So the reason why I was telling you that you need to engage your customers so that you can pull out your mechanism or whatever mechanism you have came from a gap is because they need to hear something different. They need to feel something different. They need to know that if I take a risk, maybe the third time, the 10th time, the 100th time, whatever the case may be, this is going to be different. They need to feel that it's going to be different from the get go. So this is what that tension three does. And then the last tension is waiting to be ready. They're delaying the decision. They're telling themselves they need more time. Maybe they need more certainty. Maybe they need something before they act. The wait is a problem, not the thing they're waiting for. It's to by virtue of them continuing to wait or making excuses as to why they need to wait a bit more. That is tension four. So at each stage, the way you communicate to someone at tension who's experiencing tension four is not the same way you communicate to someone who's experiencing tension one. So that is why we have messaging according to the tensions. And again, the idea is you're not talking about like a topic and say, I'm just going to be talking about this topic until someone buys from me. No, you can still talk about that topic, but you meet them at different points or as according to where they are at. So that yes, they listen to the same message, but they're hearing it in different ways. And each time you communicate it to them, it feels like you're delivering value to them. So now this will give rise to the things that you're supposed to be sharing. Now, once you have the things you're supposed to be sharing, there's a five-part structure of how you relay your content. So whether you're going to be talking about tension one, talking to tension one, talking to tension two, talking to tension three or four, there's going to be a structure that you follow. And the structure works for two-sentence caption and even a 600 word article. The parts are always in this order. What changes is rather than the content is what is inside each part. It's the tension of it, like I said, it's the tension of just speaking through. So the structure is not a formula that makes the post sound the same. It's a guardrail that stops them from drilling into generalities, so that you're just speaking about generalities. Without it, the post starts to wander. They state, they state, they state the mechanism instead of explaining it. They skip the proof. They end with a question nobody answers. But that is if you're not using that. But when you use this particular structure and share in the next page, every post has a clue that makes someone stop and read again. So you first tension and then you register like, okay, this is the tension that I'm dealing with. And then like you write it, what tension is it? And then that's the tension. So you open the citation, a number or a name, not I. The hook ends the second sentence. So if you're talking about like they don't care about you, they care about their problem. So if you can open with that situation or that number, well and good. And then now you talk about the gap. Now you're naming the particular tension. Make them feel seen before explaining anything. Not you don't talk about the solution yet. And then you show them the consequence of the mechanism being true. You're not explaining the mechanism, you're just demonstrating. So you're kind of showing them why it is bad for them to, like, why the more they stay and without resolving the issue, they're going to continue sitting in the stew of those consequences. And then now you touch on the proof, which is a specific example, whether it's a client result, a number, a time frame, or a before and after. Then lastly, you close, and this sentence names who this is for. Leave the questions or statements away. This is what people like give a screenshot. Like even if it's you're not speaking about specific person, if they know someone who is experiencing a problem that you solve, they will more likely share this particular product or service or post if it does this. The sentence names who it is for, so that regardless of whether it's a person reading it or someone else who knows that it's for them, then that's what that particular thing does. And then now you'd be ready for level two. And now we're creating the landing page. It's now, yeah, like now we'll get into the landing page. So this section is just like gauging, are you ready for the landing page? You're ready for the landing page if the positioning statement passes the cold stranger test. That means a cold stranger. A cold stranger means someone who has no idea who you are, doesn't even care about what you're offering. But when they listen to what you offer, they understand it immediately, whether or not it's for them. Like it's the kind of person, like I said here, they will send it to someone who know who it is for. If it can do that, then step number one passed. If you have at least one documented case study with a specific before and after, a specific process, a specific result, in the client's words, number two, you're ready for a landing page. If I can explain if you can explain your mechanism in one paragraph without hesitating or sliding back into describing what you do, you're ready for a landing page. If you have posted consistently for at least 4 weeks using the tension map that I've shared or something similar, where you're not just talking about topics, but you're touching different components or you're speaking to the customer, your ideal customer, at different stages of awareness. Different stages of awareness is I don't know about your product, I know about the problem that your product solves, I know about the solution that you're offering, I know about no, I know about a solution that exists in the market, I know about the your specific product, I am now ready to buy your product. So those are the stages of awareness. The tensions ideally address that. If you have that in mind, so it doesn't necessarily have to be the tension, but if you know, if someone is to come and doesn't know you, they'll understand your value. If someone has like seen your content and is like, okay, I think I'm ready to buy, you're basically ready for a landing page. If you are getting DM inquiries from people rather than just referrals, just strangers, even in the comments, you are ready for a landing page. When someone messages you with interest, but you don't know what to send them, you need a page that does explaining, so every conversion does not start from zero. You are ready for a landing page. So like I said, this whole document is supposed to be building up until you get to the point where you're building the funnel, and the funnel can start with a landing page. Then from the landing page, once you have the landing page converting, then we do ads. Then now when we do ads, we'll still send people to the landing page. And then when we're scaling, we'll still send people to landing pages depending on the range of products that you have. Every product will have a different landing page, something you should also keep in mind. So that's basically what this workbook does. I hope it answers any questions people might have about how to use it. Like I said, in the event that the examples that are described here are not as helpful, I will attach a prompt that you can now use and um, like inquire from it what you can try fill out something, and then if it doesn't make sense, ask it. But I'd encourage you just fill it out from start to finish, and then once you do that, you give it to the prompt, and then it helps you refine. I think that way you'll be able to have a better understanding of what value you offer your customers and what your customers value from you. So yeah, that's basically it. Thank you for watching, and in case of anything, just DM me on Instagram, the Pulse Strategist, or you can also use my personal page at Bosita Walu. So BOSITAWALU on Instagram, and on TikTok it's just Bosita. On YouTube, you're watching this on YouTube, so the Pulse Strategist.